everyone, it's Jessica. Thank you for coming by my channel today. It is time for another Makers with Heart video collaboration, and for February we are all going to be creating a project from the same pattern in Make It From Your Heart Volume 5. Now, as a group, when we said we wanted to do this, the first thing that came to my mind was, please don't be pattern 10. And then everybody said, let's do pattern 10. And so I'll talk to you later about why I was a little bit nervous. But as you can see, I've gone ahead and already cut all of my papers according to those dimensions. And then I've edge distressed them with some coordinating ink colors. I'm going to be scrapbooking these pictures here of my daughter and my niece with my grandma from a couple of years ago. And I thought that I would use the Life's a Hoot paper collection from Close to My Heart because there's a lot of purple going on in these pictures, and I love that that is a color that is featured in this paper pack, and it's also my grandma's favorite color, so it was just kind of a good choice for this particular project. Now, I've cut all of these, and really, I did cut most of them according to the directions, but there are certainly places on this pattern that you could probably cheat a little bit and use some smaller pieces of paper. So for example, here, this was supposed to be a longer strip of paper, but I had a scrap. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to cut it in half, the piece that I've got, and I'm going to tuck it on either side because it ends up getting covered by a lot of things. So one thing you'll notice as this project comes together is that there are tons and tons of layers. In fact, looking at the pattern in the book, it has seven different papers. And so you could use a combination of cardstock or pattern paper, but that's a lot of different papers to pull together. It is nice to work with a collection for that reason, because then you know that everything is going to color coordinate and it's already designed to work together. But that was why I was a little apprehensive at first when everyone decided to pick this particular pattern for our February challenge. I've never actually created from this pattern in the book before because every time I look at it, I feel a little bit overwhelmed by all of the papers that it calls for. But when everybody else kind of enthusiastically jumped on board, I thought, you know what, this is a sign for me to finally attempt this layout and see how it goes. And I actually really enjoyed it. I think it came together beautifully, and I love all of the different layered papers that this layout calls for. So it did end up being a good thing, and I'm glad that this challenge kind of forced me to finally try something new. Now, some of my final pieces here are these two little strips that are supposed to go on either side of the photos here, but I think I might go through my thin cut stash and find some kind of shape or something interesting to do with those rather than just leaving them as rectangles. So that's my thought. I'm going to set those to the side for now and then kind of go looking to see what I might be able to use. Now, before turning on the camera, I did have the majority of my papers cut and ready to go. I did save these two little pieces here because I wanted to show how I'm going to dovetail them. So I just like to cut a little slit up the center, and then I come from corner to corner to the top of that slit that I've cut. And I find that to be a really easy way to add dovetails to my papers. And so I'm going to grab the color coordinating ink colors and just quickly swipe across the edges of those to finish off those last two pieces. They get tucked here over on the right hand side of this double page layout, and now I have the basics done. So with the exception of those two little pieces that I wanted to put something interesting in. Now comes the fun part, right? So if I turn back to the inspiration here in the pattern book, I really like how they have a little something going on at the bottom between those two pages. And so I'm going to try to think of something that I can do there as well. So I did decide to use these brackets here, these thin cuts, to cut out that one piece of paper. And that way it'll just have a little shape and a little something interesting. So that's what that looks like here. I'm just going to tuck both of those on top and bottom. And like you can see, there are so many layers on this layout. I really love it, but like I said, it was a little intimidating at first, but if you follow the pattern, it's really easy to pull it all together. So now comes the fun part. This is the embellishing, and I do have the coordinating sticker sheet that goes with this paper collection, and I knew immediately that I was going to want to use this beautiful floral sticker here, but I really have only the one big floral sticker on the sheet. So I'm going to use my anti-static pouch to put a little bit of powder on the back side of the sticker, and then that way I can move it around and play with it. And then I am actually going to end up cutting it in half here. That way I can use it in two different spaces since I have only the one. So I'm pretty sure I want to put one part of it there, and then I'm not sure about the other part yet. But I do also like this cute little owl, and I think I'm going to put him maybe with some foam tape over top of the flower right there. So I'm going to go ahead and commit to this little floral bunch. And then, like I said, just kind of do a little bit of figuring out. Yep, I'm gonna use that owl there. And I picked him for that spot, even though there's another owl sticker on the sticker sheet, because his eyes are looking over to the side, and this is the left-hand page. So I want him looking in towards the center. And then I have to decide where I'm going to put the other half of that floral sticker. And I thought maybe I should put it over on the right-hand page just to bring it all the way across the layout. And there is a lot of just purple cardstock showing to the side of the only photo that is on the right-hand page. So I thought this might be a good place to have something interesting to look at. And I'm going to go ahead and put it there. So now I like to kind of go back and forth looking at the whole spread as a whole to make sure that I like the way everything is coming together as far as my embellishment clusters. I know I've said this before, but one thing that I have learned from watching others on YouTube is to think of that visual triangle, and there I've got it by putting my second owl over to the far right. It really has been such a lifesaver as far as embellishing. I love that visual triangle tip. Okay, so there are a couple other little stickers that I'm going to try to work in here. I don't have a title yet, and I tried really hard to make this smiles sticker work, but it just didn't seem to quite fit anywhere. So I will put it back on the sticker sheet and save it for another project. And then I noticed a couple of those gold foil leaf sprig stickers, and I thought, well, let's build up that one floral cluster just a little bit more. So I think I end up grabbing two different stickers there, and I tuck them behind that one cluster over on the right-hand side of the page. And I like the way that that ends up looking. And later at the end, I will bring in some gold glitter gems just to play up that gold a little bit more. Okay, so what to do now? This is always for me some of the hardest part of scrapbooking is the embellishing and figuring out what in the world the title is going to be. So I think what I'm going to do is add a little bit of ink blending down here to the bottom. Like I said before, on the inspiration layouts that they include in the pattern book, both of them had something different going on down there. One had some stamping, another one had a little bit of paper tearing. I thought I would do a little bit of ink blending just to kind of take care of a lot of that white space. So I did stamp some journaling lines over top of that. And then I need to do something over to this side. I'm going to mirror it, I think. I was going to leave it plain, but then when I had the two pages next to each other, it just looked a little blank over on the left-hand page compared to the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glacier ink to that side as well. And then I think I'm going to stamp a title down here. I was trying to have that "I will always love you" sticker be the title, but like I said, it just looked a little blank and empty over on this side of the layout. So I'm going to add one more title to this. So I'm going to use my T-square ruler and give myself a really, really faint pencil line right over that ink blending to make sure that I stamp everything on straight. And then I went through my alphabet stash and I found a really old stamp set called the Glamour Uppercase. And I'm going to stamp the word smiles in grape ink. So you can see here that this is a pretty old set. So if ever you have something like this happen to you where your stamps are kind of falling off of the carrier sheet and they're not as sticky anymore, one little trick that you can do, you can see here, I'm just kind of rubbing it on my wet stamp chamois and it immediately the stick gets returned to it. On some of my really old sets, especially ones that I use a lot, but that they're old, and I mean old, if I have that problem, I have before taken them in like a colander and I put the stopper down in the sink. And then I've just kind of rinsed them with plain water in the sink, and it kind of clears off some of the dust and the lint that can gather on those sticky stamps, and then it returns the stick to them beautifully. So that's just a little hint for you if ever you have an older stamp set that acts like that one, where you go to pull it out of the envelope and things are kind of falling all over the place. So I'm going to use my rub and remove eraser to take away my pencil line, and that title is ready to go. I did find a little stamp set that said happy, happy, and I stamped that above my smiles. I think this is going to be it. Like I said off camera, I will pull in some gold glitter gems. You can see some of those here in the close-ups. And I just scattered those around the 3 different spots of my visual triangle in my embellishments. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. So I am the first to kick us off for the month of February. Tomorrow, Kim will be sharing her project that she made from the same layout, and the other ladies will follow each day after that. So I will include some links in the description box down below. Thank you so much for being here and watching. I hope you have a great day. Happy crafting. Bye.